Hey, Instagram Live, 4 o'clock on Monday the 11th, and what a beautiful day. It's getting toasty out here. Like, I almost want to put my air conditioner on. Oh my God. So I just want to put real quick what to expect when you, oh boy, operational difficulties. Don't do this if you're not at a red light. What to expect when you start keto. Post. Okay. And drop that down, and I'm going to keep talking now. So, a few people have reached out to me recently, and they were asking me suggestions on getting started, suggestions on, foods to eat, suggestions on how to handle it, how to transition. For those of you who don't know, some of you maybe never heard me tell this part of the story. Weight has always been a battle, a struggle for me through my entire adult life. Somewhere back in around 2000, 2001, I was turned on to Atkins, and I read through the book, and I thought I knew the program pretty well, and I did it really well. Like, I took off 60, 70 pounds, and I kept it off for a few years, did the gym, got in amazing shape, and, met a girl, got lazy, stopped sticking to the nutrition like I should, and put some weight on, and then, marriage, houses, kids, you know what happens, and I ended up in the dad bod, and, never that I was really, really thin, but I thought it was a diet. It wasn't a lifestyle. It was just, this was a diet, and I would go back to eating regular food. And you've heard me say this before, because my mom has asked me, well, honey, what are you going to do when you start eating real food? And today, my feeling is that I am eating real food. I'm eating really good food. It's rich, it's fulfilling, it's filling, it's satiating, and bad traffic, I just blocked someone. Gridlock buster. Oh boy, bad Russ. Okay. Honk honk, move up. Let's go. Any day now. Please look up. He's texting. I'm talking to the phone, but at least I got my eyes on the road. And yeah, so I don't know. I digress. I'm just going to wait until this guy in front of me keeps moving. Because now we're all just blocking an intersection. It's just silly. But anyway, that's because he's playing on his phone. See me? I got hands free. I got eyes on the road. I'm not looking at you. Well, I am now because I'm at a red light. But anyway, let's be serious. So about a year ago, a little before a year ago, so December of 2017, I started doing a program. It's called 131 Diet from Shailene Johnson, one of the Beachbody trainers who I really like. And I liked the program that she was putting out there, and I learned a lot. And the beginning of the 131 Diet, the premise of the whole thing was to cycle your diet and go through. And I'm not against that. And when I get to a point, I might start trying that and doing some targeted keto. A lot of people talk about that. And, there are some benefits. Eating seasonally, of course, but equally, I'm a gym rat. I like lifting weights. I like putting mass on. I like putting lean mass on, and I like getting big. Like, I want to be a bodybuilder. I am a bodybuilder. As much as I lift, and I lift heavy things, I underneath all the extra padding that I've carried my life is the physique of a bodybuilder that one day, and this is my goal, I'll share this out there, I'll be 50 in July of 2020. So between July 2020 and July 2021, I will find an NPC show and I will get up on stage and see how I do. But that's not why I'm here today. I want to talk about keto. So when I started the 131 Diet, the first stage was called Ignite, and curiously I was like, wait a minute, I'm doing Atkins induction, and I'm achieving nutritional ketosis, and I broke out the keto sticks and peeing on the sticks and measuring and making sure and tracking my carbs and doing all this stuff. And I was like, wow, this is great. You all done, bud?
Done.
Pass. Pass it. Or are you going to keep it there? Thank you.
Now I want my leftover granola bars.
I don't have a leftover granola bar. I got leftover apples. That's all I have. You want the apples? Yes, I don't have granolas.
It's in my backpack.
In your lunch bag? Okay. So I'm going to give you your whole lunch bag. Let's see. We digress here again. Good, I'm moving in I'm moving a whole 2 miles per hour. Here you go, bud. I got 2 pieces of granola. 1, 2. Do you want your go-go squeeze? No, thank you. Okay. So, David's hanging out, eating snacks in the back. Clearly not low carb. But I will tell you, he likes some of my low carb snacks, my sugar-free snacks. It's nice when the kids like it, and slowly but surely, we're trying to phase out a few things in the house and make sure that they're eating healthier too. It's a process. So I'll talk about my process. So when I started, one of the best things that I got from Shailene's program, 131 Diet, was that they kept saying, you got to learn, you got to do the research. And they would give a lot of reading every week. It was like taking a class almost. And I started reading a lot of articles. And what I found was the more articles from that program that I was exposed to, the more I was motivated to start looking elsewhere and reading. And because I was so comfortable with the idea of Atkins, I was able to go through it. And they were like, don't do this forever. It's not good for you. And, listen, if it's okay to lose weight in a ketogenic diet, why is it not okay to maintain ketosis, nutritional ketosis? And let us differentiate nutritional ketosis, in which the body is burning fat for fuel producing ketones, is not ketoacidosis. It is truly disturbing. I'm just a layperson, I'm an educated guy. I like to read and I like to think I know a lot of things, and I learn, and I'm open to when I make mistakes and don't understand properly, please instruct me, or I'll go out and I'll learn it myself. But there are people out there. There are doctors out there. There are medical professionals out there. There are nutritionists and registered dietitians who mistakenly think that ketosis is ketoacidosis. Ketoacidosis is when your body has high blood sugar and is producing ketones. And this is a dangerous state for anyone, particularly if you are a diabetic. So let's clear the air on that one, that ketosis is not ketoacidosis. Let's equally clear the air that for type 2 diabetics, this particular lifestyle of eating a carbohydrate restricted diet with moderate protein and a healthy amount of healthy fat, so it's high fat, low carb, moderate protein, type 2 diabetes can be cured. Or if you don't like to say it's cured, well, that's fine. Type 2 diabetes can be overcome without the need of any medicine whatsoever, simply by eating this way. And I know I've lowered my blood sugar a little. I'd like to get it down lower. My insulin is nice and low, and I haven't done any further testing on the insulin itself. Not so easy to do that, but I like to check it out. I have so many people I know who have been both type 2 diabetic and not, who are in this community and have been doing this for years, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or more years, and they've had no negative ramifications. There have been no consequences. The consequences were, don't need meds anymore, don't have to shoot insulin anymore, have more energy, sleep better, all the stuff that I talk about all the time. So anyway, here we are. A whole bunch of people have been asking me, hey, what's going on? And, what should I expect? If I'm going to start this, what can I expect? And it's really, I got to tell you, it's a commitment. It's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. And the first 2 weeks, 4 weeks, even as many as 8 weeks can be a trial. It is full of challenges. However, this is what I want you to know, and this is what I want to share as I'm going along and just talk about it. So one of the things a lot of people talk about is, oh no, don't do keto, you'll get the keto flu. When you cut carbohydrates out of your diet, or you restrict carbohydrates out of your diet, what happens is your body will burn through all the glycogen stores in your muscles. Glycogen is how your muscles store sugar, and that's the fuel that your muscles need to burn as you're doing things. And that's all fine and good. Glycogen is good. You get a nice big burn, and when you burn through that, then you run out of energy, right? And there's only so much glycogen your muscles can store. I don't know about you, but I got a whole lot of extra fat, and if I don't have any glycogen in my muscles, and I do have tons of fat to burn for energy, I'm not going to be running out of that. It'll be weeks before I run out of energy from fat, even if I'm working out hard. Now, and I'll say this, that now that I'm fat adapted, and I've been doing this for well over a year, it's rare that I feel that way. The only time is if I'm not drinking enough fluids. And this tends to happen, actually. I'm working on injury on my left foot. I'm walking around with a stress fracture, and so I'm not going to the gym, which means I'm not working out as regularly as I was, and I'm not drinking my pre and post workout drinks, which include electrolytes. And so there's the important part of, you have to include plenty of fluids and plenty of electrolytes. What happens, though, when you burn through your glycogen stores is that your body no longer holds so much extra fluid. So in the beginning, when you burn through those glycogen stores and your body starts getting into a ketogenic state of burning fat for fuel, you will lose a whole bunch of weight. Guys, even more than the gals, but you'll lose a whole bunch of weight. And I'm not going to lie, a bunch of that preliminary pounds that you're losing is water weight, because you're no longer holding the fluid. But now, here's a cute little thing. So, I don't know if you're concerned with inflammation, but, I'm doing this because I want to lose weight, but I'm doing this really, like the big giant why behind why I'm doing this. And this is like my last thing that I want to reiterate at the end is keep your eyes on the prize. Remember the reason that you're doing this. You always have to have a big why. And the reason I'm doing this is, coming up on the birth of my son back in 2014, I was pushing back up at 291. My high back when I did Atkins was up at like 310. And it doesn't feel good. The clothes don't fit. You're uncomfortable in your own skin. You don't like looking in mirrors. You see pictures of yourself and you're like, oh my God, destroy that, please. And it's not a good feeling, man. Not to mention the knees, the ankles, the hips, the back. Not to mention the swelling of body parts. And so, here we go. So, the first preliminary water loss. I, every now and again, prior to doing this, would get swelling in my calves, on my shins. And, I'd take my socks off and see, like, how much fluid was actually in my body. And I got to tell you that in the first 2 to 4 weeks, that went away entirely. And it is a rare occurrence, if at all, that I ever have that anymore because my body's not holding so much fluid. So, a lot of people are going to tell you, be careful, you're going to get the keto flu. You will get the keto flu. For me, the keto flu was a mild headache. I would get a little tension on the back and my neck, at which point I knew I had waited too long, I didn't drink enough. And what I learned as I went further is one of the ways to alleviate getting this keto flu is making sure, again, you have to drink adequate water. They tell you 8 glasses of water a day. I try to go upwards of a gallon or better. Now, sometimes the job doesn't work that way. I try to drink a lot in the morning. I try to drink a lot in the evening, and during the day I do the best I can to keep up. I try to keep consistent. I don't want to not drink it all during the day. That's just not good. However, if you're on a job where you're running, and you can't run to the bathroom when you have to, that could be an issue. You know, I used to work on New York State Thruway collecting tolls on the Tappan Zee Bridge. And I can tell you that when you had to go to the bathroom and there was a line of traffic, like 80 cars deep, and no one coming out to relieve you, it wasn't cool. It was hard to get out of that booth, man. So, you know, and as a teacher, equally, like, I can't run out of the room, and so, you know, I got to watch these things, right? And make sure you're drinking enough. And along with that, make sure you're getting enough electrolytes. Now, you can make it yourself. You could just add a little Himalayan salt. One of the brands out there I haven't tried yet, but I've been hearing quite the rave about. Redmond's salt has like a full micronutrient panel in it that'll really make sure that you're getting all the electrolytes that you need. You got to get this stuff in your body, and you got to drink enough, and you got to slowly. Now, I will talk about this because the next thing I want to talk about is, you know, measuring macros, and some people talk about constipation. So, you know, Hugo the man, you're here, and I'm talking about constipation. Here's a lesson you won't get in biology class. So, anyway, make sure you're getting plenty of electrolytes. That's sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium. There we go. Those 4. Those are the 4 that you really, really need. You need to make sure you're getting that. Some salts will have it. Himalayan is supposed to have a higher concentration of those minerals. Redmond's swears up and down it's the best thing in the world. There's even some doctors who are big in the keto community who swear by this stuff and champion it, saying this is the greatest stuff. I use a product called Ultima Replenish. It is a sugar-free electrolyte replenishment. It's got some vitamins in there as well as the minerals. It's sweetened with stevia. It comes in like, I don't know, I like to say it comes in like 80 flavors. I don't know how many flavors they have, but they have a big, giant selection of flavors, and none of them that I've tried have I not liked. I love the grape. I think maybe I'll get a couple of other flavors just to have around, but my kids like the grape. I like the grape, so I have the grape. There's no funky preservatives, no funky colors. Like, this stuff is all natural, and it works for me. I'm not a paid representative, nor will I get any royalties for that one. However, I like Ultima. It's a good product. Ultima Replenish. So anyway, let's talk about macros. So when you're transitioning over into a ketogenic lifestyle, you're restricting carbohydrates. Now, in the beginning, to get yourself into ketosis, you should drop down to approximately, and I say approximately because this is like, you know, drop it down really low, and then you can work your way and see what your threshold is. I try to stay between 20 and 30 grams of net carbohydrates, and I'll explain to you what I mean by net carbohydrates. I try not to take extra products into my diet, especially not every day, that are chock full of sugar alcohols. They're not supposed to have any effect on your blood sugar or your insulin, but some people handle them better than others. Some people handle others. You know, they can handle one but not another. There's maltitol. Oh my God, no, bad. Like, you talk about gastrointestinal distress. Maltitol is one of the ones that they like to put in a sugar-free chocolate. And, like, stay away, man. It's dangerous. Like, you know, when you're doing keto and you're getting high fat, and then you throw in some sugar alcohol that your stomach will not handle, oh my God, look out. You know, they talk about Taco Bell run for the bathroom. No. Like, maltitol along with a high-fat diet, you could do some damage. So be aware of that. And this is where I go back to, you really need to learn, plan, and have some procedures some practices, best practices that you could follow as you're getting better at this, and you will get better at this if this is what you want to do. Speaking of macros, the macronutrients, there are 3. There is protein, fat, and carbohydrate. Now, when you hear carbohydrate, everyone thinks of pasta, bread, cakes, muffins, bagels, and all that stuff. And okay, we know that if you are heading into a ketogenic lifestyle, these things are not what you're going to have. There are some substitutes out there. My friend Matt likes to say if you're going to have any of these substitutes, they have to be at least a 7. Like if it's less than a 7, it's not worth eating. They're not that good. But there are some that are out there that are a 7 and 8. I've even had a couple of 9s or 10s where, they're alternatives. I've made some keto bread. I've done some keto desserts. And if it's that good and it doesn't mess you up and it doesn't throw you out of ketosis, then it's well worth it. And I say, the number, as my friend Matt says, he is the low-carb, high-fat fella. Me, I'm just a low-carb New Yorker. Make sure that whatever substitutes you're getting are like at least a 7. So anyway, carbohydrates. So what people don't realize when we talk about carbohydrates is that vegetables are carbohydrates. Lettuce, spinach, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, onions, tomatoes, and there's so many food trackers out there. I use one called Lose It. I've been using it because I have the premium and I paid for it. I like some of the features it has. However, I've had a lot of people talk about using a carb tracker, which helps you better understand your goals for doing a ketogenic diet, which Lose It does not. Lose It tells me based on my macros and what I'm eating, I'm going to take 18 years to lose the weight, and that's clearly not the case. And my clothes are definitely not doing that either. So I'll turn around and I will say that you should be aware that you should track. Carbohydrates come in many forms. Vegetables, some you could be generous with, and others you need to be very wary of, and you could really jack yourself well into the 30s, 40s, 50s if you have too much of. For example, I know that Brussels sprouts are a little higher on the spectrum than, say, spinach. Broccoli's pretty good. I know that onions have a bit more. I know that, did I mention tomatoes? I don't know, it is what it is. What else? So you got to look at the sugars that you're taking in, and even some of these vegetables have sugars. A lot of people, I know friends of mine are like, I had some fruit, and that's good, right? And I'm like, no, because it's all sugar. Yeah, it has a little bit of fiber, but it's all sugar, and you don't want sugar in your diet. I shoot for, on a good day, I don't want more than 10 grams of sugar. I try to keep it lower than that. There are some days that I go up 20 grams of sugar. But I'll tell you what, 99% of the time when I'm getting those sugars, they're coming from whole food. For example, tomatoes. I like tomatoes. I like salsa. And these are things that I use. However, it does have sugar, so I need to measure out. Now, I can eye it up pretty good when I pour over my lunch or dinner, and I could do between, a quarter and a half cup, and I know that that's within the reasonable for what I'm looking for my macros at the end of the day, but you need to be aware of that. Protein. By the way, before I go on, there are no essential carbohydrates. Sugar is not essential. Your body does not need it per se. That is, you do not need to eat it. Your body can produce sugars on its own through a process called gluconeogenesis, which, what it does is it takes protein and breaks it down and synthesizes glucose in your body. Glucose, neo, making it new, genesis, I'm making it, gluconeogenesis. So that's kind of cool. You don't need to eat sugar. You don't need to have any carbohydrates. There are people who are doing a keto carnivore diet where they're eating strictly meat. Maybe some herbs, salt for sure, animal products like some dairy, eggs for sure, butter for sure, and but you got to be wary with some of the dairy, because some of the dairy is also very high in sugar. Some people say you can eat raw milk and raw whole milk, and that's not so bad, but I don't know where the hell to get that around here, so it's not one of my choices. But sour cream is nice. Got to be careful. It's got some sugar in it, and it's rich, it's yummy, and that's one of my weaknesses. I could overdo it on sour cream, and I've gotten better the longer I've gone. In fact, the more that I've increased the amount of meat that I'm eating, the better I'm doing with actually how much things like sour cream that I'll put on. I could just take a couple of spoons and I'm okay, which is a normal serving size, as opposed to just emptying half a container, and it's that easy. My body handles it well. However, again, too much sugar. So there you go. So anyway, next is protein. Protein is made up of amino acids. Now, I don't know about you if you're aware of this, but there are, I want to say 9 essential amino acids that your body cannot create on its own. But you can get all of the essential amino acids by eating animal products. You could get them by taking supplements, but honestly, I really believe that in doing a ketogenic diet, you really don't have to do any supplementation other than perhaps some electrolytes. You will get all that your body needs by eating a healthy portion of meat. And when I say meat, I'm talking beef, poultry, fish, anything that came from an animal, man. To me, that's meat. Meat product, animal product. If it has protein, they say moderate protein. So, as a weightlifter, bodybuilder, they tell you go as much as 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass. Now, I guesstimate that my lean body mass should be around 200. 200 grams of protein is a lot of food. Now, I have come upwards towards that every now and again when I have some really meat-heavy days. Particularly when the meat's more lean, I tend to eat more of it. When the meat is fattier, and I'll talk about fat in a minute, when the meat is fattier, I don't have as much, and I keep it, I like to be somewhere between 0.5 gram and 0.8 gram per pound of lean body mass. So that's anywhere from 100 to 160 grams. If I were to tell you my macro goal for protein is 125, 140, that window is perfect for me. I know that I do well when I'm getting right around there. If I go a little higher, I know that I falter and stall on losing any weight. Although equally, I need to stress, and I know I'm all over the place with this, but, it's not all about weight loss. It's also about the health. And I got to tell you that even though some days my scale does not move, in fact, for a while, for 3 months, my scale didn't move, my clothes kept getting looser. Now, that tells me that I put on a little bit of lean body mass as I was working out, and surely I lost some fat. And where I'm noticing it, as clothes are getting looser, I'm assuming that what's happening is I'm burning up through the visceral fat, that fat on the inside around our middles that surround and smother our internal organs. There's not so much of that now. I know there's more to lose, and I haven't done a DEXA scan, and if I could find a doctor who's plugged in and can work it out, that I can get a DEXA scan, among other things. DEXA scan can actually tell how much of your body is lean, how much is bone, and how much is fat. And I would love to get that and then, track it over the course of the year to come, from, initial DEXA to thereafter, a year after. So I'm working on that. Hopefully by summertime, the latest, I will have found a physician who's plugged into that type of community where I could get, into some of those. I don't want to call it a study because a lot of times it's just, a study of one. I got friends down in Duke University who are part of a study in looking at the keto diet and looking at keto carnivore, and I'm so jealous, but, it's cool. They're down there, and, if I lived down there, I would make it my business to get there, but I don't know any up here that are going on, so I got to look around a little bit and see. It's less a priority. My kids are my priority. My family's my priority. My own health is my priority. Limping on my broken left foot, or trying not to limp, is my priority. So anyway, I talked about carbohydrates, and you need to restrict it. Keep it down to a certain number. 20 is like generally the number they tell you to start at. And as you become fat adapted and you're doing really well, you could bump it up a little bit and see what impact it has on you. And you will find a threshold where, you'll come to learn what works best for you. Protein, again, is a goal. You want to get a certain number, a certain amount of protein. It's essential. It's the body's building blocks, and without it, your body cannot repair itself, nor can it grow and develop. So depending on what we're talking about, you're talking about putting on muscles, you're talking about repairing an injury, you're talking about blood, whatever it is, there's a lot of reasons that our body needs to both repair itself and to build things, and repair as well. So we got protein, essential. We got carbohydrate, non-essential, but, some people don't want to live without it at all, so they kind of try to keep some. It's not bad to get some healthy greens, right? It's not bad to get some lettuce if it's not iceberg, because iceberg is just a waste of green space. Get some red leaf, get some romaine, get some spinach, get some broccoli and cauliflower. And these are the ones that you could grab without any fear of reprisal whatsoever. There are others, but again, don't overdo it. There's certain ones that people, the religious fanatics, the keto zealots will tell you in the beginning, don't eat carrots, don't eat tomatoes, don't eat onions, and there's like 80 million things that you should not eat. I'm not telling you what you shouldn't eat. I'm telling you what are some good things that you can eat. So I talked about some of the healthy greens you can get. I talked about in terms of animal products, so long as it's a whole food animal product, why not? You know what I mean? Here's something that people don't tell you that I didn't know, and I just learned rather recently. Chicken. If you think that grabbing lean chicken breasts is the way to go to get all that protein, I learned that chicken, the proteins in chicken, are actually the most insulinogenic and can throw your blood sugar off and can stall you in weight loss. And you know what? I like chicken. Occasionally I'll eat it, but I'll eat whole chicken. Like when I did Atkins back in 2001 and thereafter, chicken breast was like a go-to, marinate it, throw it on a Foreman grill, and I'd have chicken for a week, and it was great. However, I'm trying to make this a full lifestyle, and more I'm becoming, I'm getting a better understanding of what's really the best way to go, and where my body runs best, and where I have the most energy, and where I'm not crashing out, where I'm not hungry an hour later after eating. And I will tell you that I could remember eating tons of chicken, and oh my God, like I'd be hungry an hour later or less. I like to eat, so I'm not so hungry now. Like I had a burger and a half for lunch, a little bit of guac and salsa, and like I'm full, and that's gonna take me out to 6-7 o'clock. I'm gonna try to eat a little earlier, just so I'm not going to bed on a full stomach. But like a couple of meals and a nice cup of coffee in the morning, like I'm doing good with this, and it feels good. So there you go to that. So I talked about protein, I talked about carbohydrate. What I didn't talk about was fat. For years, the medical community, the nutritional community, the FDA, the USRDA, everyone's been telling us that fat is the enemy, fat's going to screw us up, Fat's going to make us fat. Fat's going to give us arteriosclerosis. Fat's going to give us heart disease. And slowly now, lately, they've turned around and said it is, like cholesterol is no longer a nutrient of concern. They've loosened up on what fats. They're still pushing all these vegetable oils, which is kind of messed up because some of these vegetable oils, I've said it once and I'll say it again, some of these vegetable oils prior to the early 1900s were industrial products. They were agents for, putting in a machine to lubricate, not to cook with and not to make manufactured processed food. And then they turned around and they said, oh my God, we got so much of it. And, then you cut into let's see, I think Crisco was the beginning of it. All of a sudden, they hydrogenated these vegetable oils to make it a solid. And they started replacing tallow and lard. They even started replacing butter with these hydrogenated vegetable fats, which are super inflammatory. In fact, if you see now in the packages and it tells you no hydrogenated oil, that's good, but still, even if they're not hydrogenated, they are not good for you. So some of the vegetable oils that I will say are healthy options: avocado oil, yes, absolutely. Olive oil, yes, absolutely. However, it's interesting. I've read a few studies on this one, and I couldn't break it out. It's like a year or two ago that I was reading about it, so I don't have the actual research article, but I know that it was out there, and I was checking it out, that olive oil, when you cook with it, can actually turn rancid and isn't good for you, and it produces some oxidation, which is not good for you, again, which is inflammatory. But using olive oil to put on as an additive and include, as a salad dressing, stuff like that, as a flavoring, as an added fat in whatever you're eating, is absolutely healthy for you. Avocado oil, for sure. Coconut oil. Some people don't like coconuts. I don't know why. I love it, man. However, MCT oil is made from coconut oil. Some of them are a little more pricier because they're able to refine it down to just the C8, which is supposed to be the best because it burns directly as energy. But coconut oil is another good one. I can't remember the book that it was that I was reading, but it was recent, and it was talking about palm oil, red palm oil, and there was this whole battle. It was probably right around the time of Crisco, and like palm oil is not bad for you, is my understanding. It's right up there with coconut oil and how it can be healthy for you. And then we talk about the fats that we know from animals. So butter, absolutely. If you have a problem with dairy, you could do clarified butter, ghee. Whenever I make my bacon, I save that fat, put it in a container, cool it off, put it in the fridge. My friend says you don't even have to put it in a fridge, but I prefer to keep it in the fridge, so I have always on hand at least like 8 to 16 ounces of lard sitting. I'd love to get my hands on some tallow, although I will tell you that I prefer lard. I think I just like the taste better. I like it even better than butter. However, butter does have its advantages as well. So, those are the fats that you can be adding. And then where are you getting your fats from? So, eating coconut, don't need so much coconut. Coconut's got a little bit of sugar. Coconut oil, on the other hand, coconut manna, superfood, super good for you, super yummy. That's what I think. Where else can you get fat from, man? Oh, wait a minute. When we eat our meat, like the United States in particular, but the world as a whole lately, in the last, say, 50 to 75 years, we have transitioned over from eating all the parts of the animal to just eating lean muscle meat. And I got to tell you, eating lean muscle meat is not the way to go. If you want to be satisfied, if you want to sate your hunger and maintain that feeling of satisfaction, satiation, where you're not constantly hungry and needing to refuel every couple of hours, what you need to do is eat meats that are higher in fat. Some of my go-tos, you can't go wrong with ribeye. Ribeye gets expensive. Pork shoulder is pretty fairly priced and is way easy to cook. You slow cook it. Oh my God, that's pernil, isn't it? Was it picnic pork butt shoulder? I don't know what the package says, but it's fatty. You slow cook it with the fat side up. It drips down and it's just like fall off the bone. It's amazing. When I go to BJ's, they have a 5-pound sleeve of 73% lean, which means 27% fat. At best, anywhere else, you're lucky if you get 85 lean, which is only 15% fat. And it's not that I don't like those burgers, but I got to tell you, when I make these higher fat burgers, and I put a little bit of egg, I put a little bit of almond meal, I put a little bit of red onion, and that's it. Salt and pepper. I think yesterday I even forgot to put my salt and pepper in, and there is none, and it's just the meat, the eggs, some almond meal, and red onion. And oh my God, throw them in the oven under the broiler, 12 minutes on one side, 8 minutes on the other side, and you got the most succulent, amazing hamburgers ever. You need nothing on them. I got some alternate sweets ketchup, I'll put a tablespoon on it, and that's more than enough because these burgers are not dry. They are so satisfying. There was a restaurant up where I grew up that we used to go to, my dad and I, called Fuddruckers, and Fuddruckers had the best burgers, and I bet those burgers were all nice and fatty. Hey, Grandma Does Keto, welcome. Driving along and just talking what to expect, what to start, and I'm still talking about macros, and I didn't talk about constipation. So anyway, get your fat, get it from healthy whole foods. Don't be afraid of the fat. The fat is not the enemy. It's the sugar, it's the carbohydrates, the sugar in particular, that you want to get out of your diet. And so another thing you might want to expect is some people tell you you're going to get constipated. I did not have that problem. I included plenty of greens in the beginning, and now that it's not the beginning, and I want to say I've dropped quite a bit of the vegetable matter in my diet. I want to say I'm 95% or better carnivore right now. I'm not having any problems either. What I will tell you is the other side of that. So if you're not getting enough greens in the beginning, and if you're not drinking enough water, not getting enough electrolytes, magnesium, milk of magnesia, magnesium, yeah. I want to say if you're not getting enough magnesium, you may also cramp up and have some constipation. But again, as I said in the beginning, I'll say again, make sure you're getting all your electrolytes, make sure you're drinking enough fluids. And in the beginning, I highly encourage you to, get some greens in there. Have a whole handful with every meal, and that's okay. And if you're not measuring, per se, the greens you're taking, a healthy handful of greens is a good serving, and I'm not saying just make a fist. I'm saying grab it and you got a whole claw full of greens. That go for it, man. It's those other things that you just want to cut out and you shouldn't have. And I will say, carrots are not the best choice. I'll have one or two when the kids are eating them. If there's one left over, I might eat it. But I'm not a carrot guy anymore. Tomatoes for me, I like them, and I haven't cut them out. But again, I'm not sitting and chewing down 2-3 tomatoes at a time. I'll slice one up with a meal, and that's my one tomato for the day. My fruits that I eat, sometimes, occasionally, I'll have some strawberries or blueberries. I used to like blackberry and raspberry, but for some reason, I just don't enjoy them anymore. Maybe I just need to get them in season, local from, summertime right around here. Blueberries, I can't go wrong. Even the strawberries, I'm not the biggest fan. How about avocado? Is that a fruit? Is it a vegetable? I don't know. I eat plenty of guacamole, and I eat plenty of avocado as well, and that's one of my favorites. So there you go. Anyway, The other side of constipation that people don't necessarily talk about, although they make allusions to it, is the fact that opposite of constipation is running, going all loose. And if you go too high in fat, too quick, before your body is acclimated to eating like that, you can have some issues. What was that? There were like some diet drugs on the market, and it used to say one of the side effects was oily discharge. I don't need to take pills to make that happen. I can eat too much of something and have the same problem. And I would be a liar to say that it didn't happen along the way, but I've learned how much is too much. And I can't tell you how much is too much, but I'll tell you, if I'm getting 150 grams of protein, I want about the same 150 grams of fat in a day. I don't want to go below 100. Some people tell you, you could cut the fat down a little lower, because if you're trying to burn fat, you don't want to put too much fat in. But equally, until you get to a point that you're fully fat adapted and your body can burn its own fat for fuel, you want to make sure, if you're not taking in those carbohydrates anymore, you want to make sure that you are getting fat into your diet. Exercise. When I started this, because I didn't want to overdo it, I didn't work out for like 4 weeks. And I was working out a little, but I said, I want to start eating like this. And I just took 4 weeks off. All I would do was stretch a little bit, do a little yoga on the side. But I really didn't work out until 4 weeks in. I said, you know what? Let me go see how I'm doing. And I had a lot of energy. And it felt great. And that's really, the whole point of this. Forget that I'm going to lose weight. Is I feel so much better. I sleep so much better. So things to expect, not only, how you should be eating, but some of the benefits that you're going to expect as well. Now, sometimes we have to go out. Are you okay there, buddy boy? Okay. Sometimes we have to go out with our friends, with our family, or, we just didn't get to pack our lunch and we need to go out, and lazy keto can still be keto so long as you don't grab the wrong things. My kids like Burger King and McDonald's. For a little while, not so much anymore, but for a little while it was like a once a week thing. We would go out, and I didn't realize it first, so I'd be ordering like a Whopper or a Big Mac or whatever, quarter pounder, and then I'd be taking the bread off and throwing it off and scraping stuff off. And I learned that if you ask for it, they will serve it to you on a low-carb option. With Burger King, they don't do any fancy stuff. They just throw it on a plate and, there you go. I ask for no ketchup because the ketchup has sugar in it. Perhaps even almost surely has high fructose corn syrup in it. But I don't want the extra sugar. I have sugar-free ketchup. Alternative Sweets is the one that I use. Or I don't even do ketchup. I do a little mayonnaise and sriracha sauce. Oh, my God. My mom showed me mayo on a burger, and I thought she was nuts, but I tried it, and it was amazing. So when I order Burger King, I order no bun. I discovered that when you order McDonald's no bun, they'll go and wrap it in lettuce for you, which is kind of fancy schmancy, huh? That's kind of cool. So, when you go out, if you look at the menu, if you ask, people will work with you. Don't think they're going to hate you. Don't think they're going to think, oh, what a weirdo. Because more and more today, it's becoming the norm that people don't want all the carbohydrates. So you need to understand that going out doesn't have to be the end of your diet. You don't have to go off the reservation. You don't have to totally screw yourself up. And you don't have to sit there and starve either, because there are options out there. You just have to be smart about it. Going out. What about if you're hungry? In the beginning, I have to say, in the beginning, I was hungry. I was craving sweets. Even if I wasn't hungry, I want to say that part of that hunger was, what do you call it? When you're eating and, you're not really hungry, but you're going for it anyway. And mood eating, emotional eating, distraction eating, habit eating. I don't know. However you slice it, what we look at is, if you're hungry, if you're craving those sweets, something carb-rich, some interesting options that I was told in the beginning. Grab a piece of full-fat cheese and put a little piece of butter or mayonnaise on it, and that snack, you'd be surprised. You want something sweet, but you have something fatty instead, and it will quench that craving. What else? Some crazy snack that I caught once was this lady was talking about, oh my God, it's so good, you got to try it, and I did. Slice up some pepperoni, put it on a plate, or I guess you could toaster it too, but put it on a plate and put it in a microwave and over microwave it. Don't just heat it up. Heat it up to the point that like they get crispy. So in essence, what you're making are pepperoni chips, and on those pepperoni chips, you can put, and the suggestion she had given was cream cheese, and I got to tell you, oh my God, and I've had friends who've tried this, and they laugh at me, they're like, no, I need my bread, I need this, but when I break that out and they try it, they're like, oh my God, that's so good. I said, you could do that, and you'll stop wanting that bread, because that's what really happens is when you get enough protein, and you get enough fat, and you pass the point of just being so used to, I have to eat the bread, I have to eat the pasta, I have to have dessert, there is no have to on that. It's what's become habit for us. And we're looking to break bad habits and make good habits and turn healthy practices into a lifestyle that will support us and nourish us and keep us healthy, to provide us with longevity, to be there for our families. And that's really what this is about. I wrote some notes on my hand. My son got very upset that I was writing on my hand, and I can't quite make out the last couple of things. So, yeah, I have no idea what I wrote there. So I'm just going to kind of wrap it up and reiterate, if you're looking to lose weight, the ketogenic diet is one way to do it. If you're looking for long-term health and sustainability, the ketogenic lifestyle, so the diet is how you eat, but it is not a diet that you will go off after a while. This is a lifestyle. This is a commitment, and the ketogenic lifestyle is the way to go. It is sustainable. Whatever anyone else says, if you start reading up on it and learning about it, you will see that it is a sustainable lifestyle. I'm going to stop there, and I'm just going to tell you that, you could do it. If you need help, if you need more ideas on what to buy, what to cook, you let me know. I love talking about this. I'm not looking to sell anything. I got some meal plans I can give you. I got some meal plans I could write up and set you up and, start charging. But honestly, at this point in my life, I just want to make sure that I'm healthy. And if I could help a few people along the way and they learn too, and we spread what works so well, man, that's what this is all about. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm almost at the point where I got to go pick up my baby girl. My baby boy has been so nice and kept us company quietly in the back. You guys have a beautiful afternoon and a beautiful evening, and I'll see you all soon.